Hello, everybody. I'd like to thank everybody for coming. This is All In's Magazine, Lewis Lee, and we are playing in traffic. And we do this every Thursday night, 9 o'clock Eastern time. And we got a couple guests. We're trying to get them on right now. And we got some people in the chat room. And we're also live on Facebook and YouTube. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit the little bell so you get notified every time we go live. When me and Lou are at shows, we will do live streams. So you'll be able to get notified if you hit the little bell. So remember that. And we have our new Plan and Traffic store popping. If you go to planandtraffic.com, you can check out our store and feel free to buy a hat, t-shirt, mug. We got it all. We got it all. So let me see. We're going to get some people in here on the screen with me. Hold on, be patient. I'm going to get Tori in. And Tori will be in 1 second. Lou's traveling tonight, so I don't know if he's going to make it on the show. He was having some problems with his tablet. And our special guest, Doug, we're trying to get him hooked up. Tori's talking to him now. Hi, Jim. I see Jim in the chat room. Got Chassis John. How you doing, John? Brian? We also have Patrick. Hello, Patrick. And we had Tori. He jumped in for a minute, but they'll be on in a second. No, Chassis John. Lou, he's up north. He's coming back from Alden Car Show he went to this weekend. Okay, we got Ray popped in.
Hey, Lewis.
Hey, Ray. How's it going?
Good. How come you're not in Cincinnati?
Nah, I'm poor, man. I can't go.
Man, that thing's been going on for hours. It's kicking.
Yeah. That's where rich folks go.
I've been doing important stuff.
Okay, getting your ice cream ready.
How to get gas and stuff. We're going to go to Carvel. Where's everybody?
Lou is traveling, and he said he can't get on with his tablet, so he's probably a no-show.
Okay.
And Tori is talking to our guest, Doug Evans.
Yeah, Tori asked me if I'd be. He texted me I was in the gas station. You can be around at 9. I'm like, yeah. Now I was trying to get in or on, and whenever I don't have a link to go off of, I can never get into this show. What am I doing wrong?
See, I don't know, because when I go on, I'm the administrator, so it just lets me in. Now,
right.
What address do you go to? Do you go to the Plan and Traffic on Crowdcast?
Yes, and then what I saw was past events. I saw everything up to last week's event. I didn't see anything about a current event. So that's the frustrating thing.
Now I wonder if you have to refresh, because it might be remembering
Well, there
from
were two
last week.
things. I was trying. I said, "Oh, you know what?" It said log in. That's right. Last week I had to log out, so let me log in, and I did. And last week when you were on and you went out again, I couldn't figure out how to get back in. When you told me to refresh, I was like, "Damn, that worked."
Yeah.
You know, when you don't do something regularly, you don't remember, especially at my our advanced age.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I just turned 50 last week.
Well, good. You had a kicking party, huh? Was that traumatic?
No, you know what I mean? It was kind of exciting. You know what I mean? I'm moving
Yeah.
into a different circle.
Mhm. Absolutely. With those geriatrics. I know. I was just talking to my neighbor outside. He's flagging me down when I'm coming in. And he's telling me he's selling solar door to door. He goes, "Yeah, I'm 68. I said, "To listen." I said, "At our age," I said, "we're doing stuff that our parents, we've surpassed our parents' generation already with the stuff that we're still doing." And that's a good thing. You know, we're more active.
Yeah, for sure.
When you were a kid, do you remember anybody who was 50 or more riding motorcycles and building cars? And
Yeah.
no, they were sitting on the porch with a hat on, a cigar and a beer, and saying, "Get the hell off my lawn, boy."
Yeah, it seemed like they were so much further away than us.
Exactly. So that's a good thing.
Tori, no, Doug's not. He's still not logged in. Have him log out of the app and go back in, and that should bring him in the actual show. I tell you, this crowdcast is really killing us.
Yeah.
You know, everybody has problems. Even I have problems getting in sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If I didn't have you to walk me through it last week, you know, I typically had trouble before that, and then it obviously worked.
Right.
Yeah, I tell you, Mike was a great guest, man. We stayed on till like 11. We stayed right till the end.
Did you?
We started talking about electrical stuff. You know, he mentioned relays or something, and we started going on this whole other, mainly about electricity and grounds and things people do wrong. And he's got a hell of a past. He's had a lot of really cool careers.
Really?
Yeah, he's a talented guy. He knows a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I wish I could have been on. I was on a excursion.
Yeah, yeah. And he's real easy to talk to. He's got good stories. Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, I'd like to have him back on to see you know, get some more knowledge out of him. But listen to my new rabbit hole. Okay, I've been looking at doing a dash swap. And I think I'm gonna put a whole new newer dash in the Cadillac.
Wow.
So I know the wiring is gonna be a nightmare. So I'm gonna start studying on it.
You know, I don't think so. I would take the wiring from the new dash, you know, and then adapt it from there. I'm just thinking that car has a long, flat, that nondescript, flat, rectangular dash. Anything newer is going to be more curvy, which is nice from a aesthetic appeal. But I'm wondering about how you're going to make that mount it up and blend it in.
Yeah, I'm gonna have it blend right into the doors.
Then again, there were these guys in the truck club we used to hang out with years ago. The guy shows up with a Ford Ranger pickup, dropped, airbagged, and body dropped, and chassis dropped, the whole 9 yards. And inside, he adapted a 1957 Ford Dash. And well, it was steel, so it was easy. He had to cut out like a middle section, and he did it all with metal.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
And it looked great. It looked really nice.
Yeah.
But, going newer, see, everything is plastic and there's soft stuff, which I don't know. It all depends what you're more comfortable working with, I guess.
Well, I'm gonna cover it. I'm gonna leather cover it, so
right,
it won't matter.
Any choices for the new dash? Anything in mind?
I went and looked at 92 Grand Prix dash with the heads up display. I'm gonna do the dash and the console, the center console.
Okay.
So
so you're gonna go bucket seats?
Yeah. Yep.
Any choice of the donor car for the bucket seats? You need something wide.
Yeah, I might use the Silverado seats. I looked at those today too.
That's what I'm having recovered for my Pontiac.
All right,
they're square and wide
with the seat belt hooked to the seat.
That's why I wanted. I wanted
Yep.
a third belt in the seat. I didn't want to put a retractor up on the, up on the roof.
Yeah. Yep.
And there's a few seats that do that. Actually, the interior guy told me to buy Caddy CTS seats at first, and I did. And then we got him to the shop. I'm like, hey, you know what? Well, he calls me. He says, yeah, they delivered the seats. We got a problem. Like, what do you mean? Were they bad? He goes, no, a CTS is a 4-door. I'm like, right, it is. He goes, so they don't fold. I'm like, oh, shit. So what are we going to do? He goes, well, maybe I could make them fold. He goes, and he said, no, he couldn't. He goes, well, we got to scrap that. We got to get different seats. Like, I already paid for them. He goes, all right, I'll pick up. So he picked up a set of Silverado seats.
Yeah.
And they do fold.
Yep. I was just playing with them today.
Yeah. Yeah. Because well, your car, it's a 2-door also. Yeah. With a 2-door, you want to be able to get in the back. So,
not that anybody would be able to ride behind me anyway, because the seat would be all the way back.
Right.
Tori, Doug's still not showing up as a person in the live section. So he might have to go all the way out of the app, close the app, and then re-enter, and then go to our event. Yeah, I'm gonna look into. We might have to go back to Blue Jeans or something.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it's, the more money we pay, the worse the service gets. It's
funny because I have the icon on my desktop for Blue Jeans, and just today I was like, you know what? Let me get rid of it. I'm going to delete that. I don't need that anymore. I'm going to leave it, just in case. And I never looked into it, but how many other streaming apps like this are there? I would think there'd be a bunch now.
No, there's not. There's like 5, but everyone does one thing that the other one doesn't.
Right.
So it kind of messes up a little bit.
Right.
Let me see.
You'll need a spreadsheet for pros and cons.
Yeah, you do. I mean, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I kind of did that, and this service here kind of worked out, but man, it's just so hard to get on and off.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so I checked out the seats at that Silverado. There's no power, and I kind of wanted power, and I wanted lumbar controls and stuff, but it don't have any of that, so I don't know.
Yeah, the CTS was power though, because I remember he told me that too. He says, "Well, it's a power seat. You can just wire it up." I really didn't want to wire the seats for power in that car. It's an old school car. I want to keep it all mechanical. But whatever.
Yeah, well, I like gadgets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to pay attention to the wiring. That's the thing. And I don't think anybody's going to make any kind of conversion. But in 92, you're not really too bad. You can still use a transducer for the speedometer. You don't need the electronic speedometer. They make a electronic transducer for that.
Mm-hmm.
Speedometer in those cars in 92 could still be a cable, which would be good.
Might be. Yeah, it'd be nice if that's the case. But you know what? I'm willing to go deep and change everything if I have to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I actually want to do with the heater box and all the controls, everything. I want the whole. When I go get it, I'm taking everything.
That's the way to do it. Just go buy a parts car.
Yeah. One of my buddies has I think 10 or 12 of them. So I won't have any problems finding any parts.
12 of what?
Grand Prix.
Oh, great. Really?
Yeah, I was there today.
What led to that?
He's a Pontiac guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has
I don't know, 12 Grand Prix.
Yeah, he has some stuff, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was looking at the Grand Prix seats, but they're a little too narrow. I want a little more plush.
The Bonneville seats would be better. Bonneville seats fit in the B body because a lot of guys with Impalas were doing that years ago.
Oh, really?
And it was a 8-way seat, I believe. And I do believe they came heated. And I don't know, I think I had lumbar too. They were nice because it was the same gray leather, the same color as the Impala interior. So you didn't have to recover them if you didn't want to. So that was nice for us Impala guys.
Yeah. Jim, he does have Bonneville seats. Now that I'm thinking about it, he has a couple of Bonnevilles there too.
There you go.
Maybe I could talk him out of those.
Look at those seats. They're nice and wide.
Yeah, because I got a big butt. I can't be a little seat.
Well, like you said, you want them to fit the profile of the car. You don't want them to be out of place.
Yeah.
So
Because
cars will look stupid.
the Grand Prix they're more sport style.
Right.
All
It's
right.
a little bit of a narrower car.
So I'm not seeing. Oh wait, Doug. All right, here we go. All right, I can invite Doug in now, and I'll let Tori in.
There he is. The man with the brick on his head.
Hey.
Hey, Doug.
All right.
Hey, Doug. How's it going? We got you.
Good. It took about 6 tries, but we got it.
Really? Yeah. This service that we're using, man, is just killing us. Some people can get on, some can't. I can't get on sometime, and I hit the button.
Mm-hmm.
I thought maybe it was an intelligence test, and I was thinking, man, you guys got the wrong guy.
No, believe me, it's not you.
Cool.
So wait a minute. Tori's mic's off. Let's see here. Okay, so what we'll do is, Doug, if you can tell everybody, we're live on Facebook and YouTube. So if you can tell everybody who you are and where you're from, and we can pick your brain.
All right, fair enough. Well, I'm Doug Evans, and I'm the CEO of Crowe Cams and Equipment Company out of San Diego. Right now, I am sitting in Merritt Island, Florida, for a visit home, and people who know of me know that I'm a former chairman of Sema and been involved with Sema for about 20 years in one way or another. Longtime board member. In fact, I just got back from the Sema installation and Hall of Fame gala, which was last week, where we inducted Bruce Crowe into the Hall of Fame,
Nice.
among other people, including Bob Chandler of Monster Truck fame,
Mm-hmm.
and Marla Moore of Coker Tire. So it was a fun event.
Nice.
Yeah, I bet. Yep. Now, where was that event at? Is that in Vegas also?
No, it was in Anaheim, California. We always do the that banquet in Southern California because that's where most of the staff is and everybody who comes. So it's easier just to do it there.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Tori's mic is blocked. You okay, Tori?
He's talking to somebody.
Yeah, I see he's got a slash through his microphone.
Yeah.
Doug, how long has Crowe been in operation as a cam company?
Crowe started business in 1955.
Okay.
In fact, all of this is top of mind because we just inducted Bruce, who regrettably, unfortunately, Bruce died a couple of weeks ago. So it's may he rest in peace. But he knew that he was getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, and of course, he's also a member of the Drag Racing Hall of Fame that Don Garlitz does, the International Drag Racing Hall of Fame. So Bruce is quite a guy. He started by running a 1/6 ad in Hot Rod Magazine for $300 of the $320 he had in the bank, and he got $10,000 worth of orders, and Crowe was born. So back in those days, that's what guys were doing.
Wow.
We followed cam technology through all the iterations so far I have from the 70s till today. And, you kind of understand it. But I try to think, like, how in the 50s did they determine profiles and the actual physicality and then actually then grind it, make it a part that would work. It's kind of hard to wrap my head around how they did that in the 50s.
With no computers.
Yeah, it is for me. It is for me too. In fact, it's hard for me to watch them do it now, but they do a fantastic job. If you're listening to the guys talk, it was a lot of experimentation. What we need is Bruce Crowe or Iskey to tell us, but I believe they started out with junkyard cams and just started playing around with them to get what they wanted. And from there, we kind of are where we are today.
Yeah, I'm actually going back a step before that, like to actually make the camshafts.
Oh,
And obviously they were made before that because internal combustion engines always had something to actuate the valves. Yeah. Well, how did the name Crowe come? That was Bruce's last name, I guess. That was his the family name. Okay. Because
yeah,
I remember since I was a kid, it was one of the
Go
coolest.
ahead.
It was always one of the coolest logos. Just the look of it was just spot on. It just looked like it belonged on a race car.
Like that?
Yeah. And the earlier one had the circle, right? The cam circle behind it. I remember.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we still use that logo. And the original company was he and his brother Dave, who for years and years was running the sales department, and his brother-in-law Lauren Harris, who was in charge of the manufacturing operation. So the three of them ran the company for most of the time it's been in existence.
Okay. Wow. That's a lineage. Yeah, that's a good long time.
Could you
Now, what other parts are you doing besides cams?
We do. We're the largest producer of connecting rods. We do crankshafts. We even do custom billet crankshafts where we start off with a 400-pound bar of round steel and cut it down to about 74 pounds, however you want it. So you can imagine the labor that goes into that. We make rockers, roller lifters. And we also still have Crowe clutch, Crowe glide.
That's awesome. I have a Crowe, rocker arms by 68 Camaro, and they're awesome still. I put them in 20 years ago, so they're really, really good. Nicely done.
Well, awesome. Thank you. I see your mic's working now.
Yeah, we had all sorts of trouble we had to overcome, but we're good now. So with the crankshaft and your connecting rods, what platforms do you sell them for? LS, small block, big block, Ford, Cadillac, Olds? What do you have them for?
You name it, we can do it pretty much. I mean, Crowe, I guess the beauty and the curse is we're like the world's largest machine shop because we have so many part numbers and can do anything custom that you want if you can wait long enough and want to pay for it. But we do have a lot of LS stuff, and we're actually right now working on a whole new line of Gen 3 Hemi stuff. So our people are on it, and everything in between. We even sell some stuff overseas. So our point of difference is everything we make is 100% made in the United States, and all of the steel is sourced in the United States. So everything you get is from here.
Nice.
That's awesome. That's
good.
The way to do it.
Yes, sir.
So we were on the phone before, and we were having a little conversation about 9/11 and the one fireman you ran into on the power talk. You want to share that story and elaborate a little bit more now that we have an audience?
Oh, absolutely. For people who are watching the show, who've known me a while, know that I spent most of my career at what used to be Peterson Publishing, with our flagship being Hot Rod Magazine. And one of our events is actually the Hot Rod Power Tour. They just celebrated their 25th anniversary. And back around 2003 or 4, we were doing the show. And I always made it a point to make sure I was there on every stop the whole way. And I was standing around one of the trucks when we were unloading stuff at a stop. And this giant of a guy walked up and tapped me on the shoulder. And I'm 6'5". This guy was bigger than I am. And he taps me on the shoulder and said, are you Doug Evans? And I said, yeah. And I'm expecting to get an earful about how long it took to get into this work. And he said, "Do you have something to do with the show?" I said, "Yeah. This is a Hot Rod show, and I'm with Hot Rod. It's my deal, yeah." And at that point, the guy collapses into my arms and starts crying his eyes out. And eventually, it comes out that he was a fireman from 9/11, and he'd been bedridden and actually couldn't leave his home for a couple of years. And the power tour was his first trip out, and he was having an absolute blast. And
wow.
it was talk about making you feel good, and talk about why we all love the hobby so much. That was one of those moments, and he was a really, really nice man and came with us for years after that. But
Nice.
that was it. And I understand you're a fireman too.
I'm retired now from the New York City Fire Department, proud member of Engine Company 225 in East New York, Brooklyn. And I miss it. I miss the guys. I miss the work. I miss helping the public. And I'll tell you, I hate to say it, but that story you just told, he's not the only one. There's a lot of similar stories, and mine sounds awful familiar too, So, the good thing is that the Zdroga bill was passed again for us 9/11, firemen, police officers, first responders, and we'll be taken care of until the year 2090, which is a good thing. But I'll never forget. And thank you for sharing the story. That just really tugs at my heartstrings there, Doug. And thank you for all you do.
That's great.
Obviously.
Hey, Jeff. Hold on one second.
Yes, thank you guys. I mean, amazing.
Like I said, just doing my job that day.
Yeah, good for you.
Most days were good. That was the worst.
I can't even imagine. I used to work in Manhattan for a while. I think I mentioned that to you too. And
yes,
I remember I was already. We had just acquired Dobbs Publishing not too long before that, and I was back in Florida. And what a horrible day! Of course, everybody remembers it. And you guys, the nation is in your gratitude forever. So, and in your debt. So, thank you.
We appreciate that. I'm sure I speak for every member of the FDN why that. Thank you so much. But on a happier note, though, you're in Merritt Island, correct?
Yes, Merritt Island.
I'm sorry, Ray.
I was just going to say I've always felt this. I was going to say I've always felt this way. It's just too bad we can't get the people responsible to pay for it till 2090.
Oh, I agree. I agree, Ray.
Here, here.
But I'm sure that there's some reparation going on that we may or may not know about. Always something going on in the background, which makes me feel very good. So,
Yeah.
That makes me smile, Ray. That makes me smile.
That's right.
So, Doug, did you hear any behind the scenes stuff for Sema this year?
Well, it's one of the things that people are going to see is there's construction going on.
Oh boy!
So they're going to build a new exhibit hall. I've seen the drawings, and it's spectacular.
Yeah.
But that's going to make it a bit of a challenge for the next 2 or 3 years. So everything's still going to fit. I don't know whether you guys even know it, but there's more people that want to exhibit at SEMA than we have room for. So that's why there's some people, in temporary structures and whatnot. We do our best, and we try to screen it so that it's really, truly people from the industry that are at the show, as opposed to people who are just looking for the crowd, if you know what I mean.
Well, I know what you mean for sure, because every year I have a heck of a time trying to get my passes.
Yeah.
they run me through the ringers, man.
Well, we about every 3 or 4 years, SEMA reviews its procedures about all of that, because we're trying to keep it a trade show, and it's tough because it's a huge undertaking, and it's something that if you're a car guy, you definitely want to go to, But all in, I think it's 160,000 people plus every year, and
Oh, yeah.
add a little construction to that mix, and it's going to be a bit challenging. But I think they've got a good plan, and people are going to have a good time.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, this will be my 14th year this year.
Oh, good for you. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's I think my first year was 1983 or 4. So,
Wow.
been a long time. I remember walking in and going into the main hall, and Sema just about filled the main hall, and I said, "Somebody pinch me! I can't believe that I'm actually getting paid to be here."
Oh, yeah, I bet.
And now, of course, we fill 5 halls, and we still don't have enough room. So
and 3 tents.
the industry is growing and it's healthy. It's very cool.
Yeah, it is nice to see. The last couple years have been really, really nice, because I remember like in 09, 010, it kind of was low, the crowds. But the last 2 years, man, it's been really jumping.
Yeah. It's the industry is about as close to a recession-proof industry as you can get. But this last one definitely took a bit of a toll, and it's nice to see that it's bounced back plus some. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, too bad there's no way to add more room. I mean, is there any other venues nearby that because in Vegas, it seems like everything is interconnected, where you can actually walk inside one building, through the lobby of another one, stay in the air conditioning, because you're in a desert. It's just too darn hot there. Is there any plan, any way you could get, more room for additional vendors?
Well, we've already gone into a little bit into the Westgate, which is the old Hilton. So you'll notice a couple of those exhibit rooms there are now part of the show, along with registration. Part of this new construction project is a hall that is bigger than the original main hall. So it'll virtually double the size. And then there's another new hotel space that's going in addition, that will also have exhibit space. So I'd say once that's done, we're going to be fine. We just got to get there.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Understood.
Well, I'll tell you what, those tents on the one side are in a pretty good place, because the Uber, you got to catch the Uber over there on that side. So you got to walk through those tents. So that worked.
Uh-oh.
I think I froze.
You
I
did.
freeze?
Yeah, now you're back.
You thought now.
Yeah, so
All right.
I think we lost you at walking through the tents to go to Uber.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they actually pay attention to traffic flow and try to make it so there's a nice stream of traffic for everybody who attends. So kudos to the SEMA staff for that. They do a good job.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
So let me ask you.
I'm trying to get the.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Louis.
I was saying I'm trying to get Ray and Tori out there this year.
I'd love to. It's just a matter of my family. If they would just give me a little space to get there, I'd jump at the opportunity. There's always something going on in the household here. So
you're doing your traveling now.
Well, that's because school is out.
Yeah.
So I'm on vacation. That's the only reason why I'm on the road.
Right.
But we'll see what happens. See what happens.
Tori, I was wondering, where are you at? In a strip club or somewhere?
No, my internet went out at home. So in Mom and Dad's house, I'm in the sunroom. But as you can see, there's really no sun here. So I have an antique lamp over here that's shedding as much.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we had the show a couple hours earlier, we'd be the sunroom, But
okay.
Right.
Now I'm moonlighting. You know what I'm saying? So
Gotcha.
Hey, you have to adapt.
Right.
I gotta say though, the beverages are better here than at home.
Really?
But oh yeah, I got ginger ale. I got all sorts of stuff in the fridge. So
nice.
The lighting is worse, but the refreshments are better.
There you go.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
So, Doug, what I was going to ask you was, how you get involved in the industry with SEMA, and you were part of the board of directors, for a long time. Can you tell us, just walk us through how you got involved?
Sure, I'd be happy to. At the time I got involved, I was still working for Peterson, and a gentleman by the name of Jim Worth had started a select council. For anybody who is knowledgeable of SEMA, we have multiple councils that represent certain segments of the industry, like Toro, which is off-road. There's a Hot Rod Industry Association, which is the street rod guys. They started that, and now they've morphed into something a little greater, Emerging Trends and Technology Network, Young Executive Network, and they started ARMO, which was a restoration wing of SEMA. And at the time, I was publishing a lot of the niche Peterson titles that were focusing on restoration, like Mustang and Ford's, Mustang Monthly, Chevy High Performance, Super Chevy, et cetera, et cetera. So he asked me to get involved so that there was some Peterson representation on ARMO. And from there, I enjoyed it and got involved on the political side, and eventually ran for the overall board, and just kept going all the way on up through chairman.
That's all. Now, how many years have you been involved with SEMA altogether?
How many years?
Yes.
I think all together, including the councils and the political action committee and the chair and the board, it's about 20.
God bless you. That's a heck of a run right there.
Well, it's given me back 10 times everything I put into it. Thank you for that. But it's great stuff, and the cool thing about it is everybody who's involved in it really, really cares about the industry, and they're doing it for all the right reasons, because you're donating your time and your energy, and there's a lot of passionate people that care. So the industry is in great hands. It's definitely got a lot of nice and quality people looking after it.
Well, it really shows. It really shows. And I know SEMA does a lot with regulations with the government too. So, we really appreciate that, because if it wasn't for an organization to step up, who knows what the country would get.
Yeah, the SEMA Action Network, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And anybody who's watching who wants to get involved in the SEMA Action Network, they can go online and do it. And the nice thing about the network is they don't give your name to anybody. They don't solicit you for anything. The only communication that you receive is about what's going on with legislation. And they'll contact you if they need you to get with the politicians in your area to support something or try to stop something. So it's a quality deal, and it's worth doing.
Yeah, we've from time to time when events are dire, we've mentioned them on a radio show, on Motor Mouth Radio. Try and get it out to the audience and let people know, send it out that next level.
Great, appreciate that. That's very good. The PACs, the Political Action Committee, has a rally in Washington every other year in May that people might want to look into as well. And that's where we actually go into Congress and meet with Congress people about the industry. And it's amazing. You run into some of them, and a lot of times it's just the law of unintended consequences. They don't even realize, that some of the stuff that they're proposing would put our industry out of business. And then you make them aware of the fact that it's, a $45 billion a year industry that employs millions of people, and that people absolutely love and adore. And they're like, wow, I had no idea. So definitely it's worth supporting.
So how do things like, when CARB came in back, I guess, in the late 70s, I mean, that was a devastating blow. And now everything you buy, you can buy tissues, and it says there's the Proposition 62 or 65 from California.
Yeah.
On everything.
Everything causes cancer, right? Everything.
I would say, damn, like, I don't even know how to formulate the right question. Like, what the hell is up with all of that? And why is it? Oh, why is it just centrally located in California? What is educate us, please? Educate me, because I don't know.
And Jim Listella on reproductive harm. He's right, because it says that on the Proposition 65 also, right?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Prop 65, yeah, that's a relatively recent one, and the devil with that one is whatever the state of California has decided has the potential to cause cancer falls on that list, and you as a manufacturer may not even know that some of the products you're putting out have those chemicals or products in them. So in essence, what people are doing to comply is, if there's any question, they're slapping the sticker on their box because they have to. But it's kind of like, warning label fatigue, right? You guys have been to restaurants in California, and there's 27 stickers on the wall saying that everything in the place is going to kill you. So
coffee's hot, knives are sharp, all that good stuff, right?
exactly.
I'm just looking for the guy coming through the door with a gun. That's what I'm looking for. That's the only thing I'm worried about. I'm not worried about the food.
So you asked about how CARB started.
California Air Research Board.
Yeah. So how that actually that was earlier than the late 70s. It was more like the early 70s. And Sema, believe it or not, actually helped, if I'm remembering this right, assisted putting together some of that legislation, or the words in that legislation when it was happening. And what the EPA, or the federal government now, has done is they have deferred to CARB or the Resources Board for anything that is pollution related with their Anti-Tampering Act. So if it passes California standards, it's okay for the rest of the United States, basically. So when you see a product that says not for sale or use in California, that's a manufacturer's attempt to be compliant. There's another way that actually is better, and that's for manufacturers to get an EO or an executive order, which is where they have proven that their parts don't interfere with the original emissions components. And a good example of that is the LS3 green rod motor that General Motors developed, that a lot of people in California use in street rods and kit cars, because that particular motor has been sanctioned by CARB and hence the EPA to be 50 state legal. So if you see an EO, you're covered in the state of California.
And California regulates, or the rest of the states take from California on all different stuff like guns and just all kind of things, regulations. It's just terrible.
Yeah, it seems to be getting tougher. I know, we have all of our compliance issues as a manufacturer in California. And, again, I think a lot of the stuff is well intended, and we just need to make our voices heard and let them know, look, we can do this, but you can't make it impossible for us to do business. So I'd encourage people to speak up.
Yeah, I'm just happy and proud to say I drive an old car, and it's a hybrid because it burns gas and rubber. And every time I start it, I think 2 Priuses seize and just go underground. So 'cause I'm on the East Coast. Yeah.
Excellent. I have a few of those too.
Yeah.
So what's in your fleet? What do you like to drive?
Good question. Yeah.
I'd see 69 Mustang. Actually, you probably remember some of them from the magazines. We did I blame David Freiberger. He and I were sitting around years ago talking about different things we could do, and we were were worried that, you know, we were going to run out of muscle cars. So we came up with what became the Krait Camaro. And that's when Dynacorn was first coming online with all the reproduction sheet metal. So we built the first Camaro with nothing but reproduction parts. So I've had a couple of 69 Camaros. And then I had bought a 69 Mustang Coupe, and I was whining that I really liked the way sports roofs looked better. So we got together with a couple of guys in the business and made the few parts that weren't available to turn a coupe into a fastback. So
Nice.
Those are around, and I have one of those 37 Chrysler Business Coupe, 70 Chevelle. You know, I'm a kind of a Restomod guy because I like it to
Me
stop.
too.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we all
That's
are.
important.
So, let me ask you, at 6'5", how are you fitting in those F bodies in the Mustangs? I mean, I fit well in those cars, and I'm not 6 foot even. So how the hell are you folding yourself in there?
Very, very carefully.
How do you fold yourself out?
Yeah. Well, that actually brings up a funny story. I have always loved Daytonas, and Dave Smith, who owns Factory 5, is a friend. And I was bemoaning with him one day that, you know, I'd love to build one of your Daytonas, Dave, except I didn't get half my body in that car, much less all of it. And he goes, no, I got racers your size that drive them. You know, you got to try it. I said, okay, I'll tell you what, send me one that's in California to the magazine office. We'll do a photo shoot on it, and I will physically try to see if I fit in the car. And so I did, and we had it in the hot rod shop in El Segundo, and I got in it, and it literally took me 20 minutes to figure out how to get out of the car. You can't lean on the door because it's fiberglass, so I ended up having to do kind of a backward sit-up in order to get out of the car. Needless to say, everybody thought that was pretty amusing. But
Yeah.
Wow.
so that's a car I don't have. I'm
Right.
sorry to say, but beautiful cars.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm 6'5" as well, so I know your pain.
Yes, there you go. And you know what? A gurney bubble won't do it. That's what my plan was. I thought, I'll get one of these, and if I can get in it, I'll do a gurney bubble, and I'll be cool, and it'll be great. But it's the getting in and out. Of course, being old and fat, which I am, doesn't help either.
Well, Lewis, I got an idea in the Cadillac. Now you get out of the caddy, stop, drop, and roll right on out.
Yeah. Just lean on up.
Cadillac, I had one of those too.
Yeah.
Great
Very
cars.
cool. I have a quick question for you. Just going back to Sema.
Yeah.
Is Sema involved with anything with BOCES? Because the trades, they are just so. We need people in the trades and the young people of the future. So, is there any association with Sema getting involved with BOCES?
Sema is pretty heavily involved, actually, in recruiting young people to get into the industry. We have a program with NHRA that we do with young people out at the racetracks. There's another program, actually, I think that's underway right now with about a dozen high schools that have been given Jeeps to build. That's perpetual. So they build them and sell them, and then they have them again for the following year, and it keeps growing. We have career days at Sema where we bring in 800 to 1,000 students, and participating manufacturers set up to talk to them. We have mentorship programs where people can actually go and spend a day or two at the SEMA show with a manufacturer. Also go on and actually work at the manufacturing facilities. So a lot of stuff. We reach out to grade schools. with ISCA, with some of their indoor shows in the wintertime, to get kids out just to expose them to cars. Because, some of these kids have never even seen a hot rod, and you
Exactly.
bring them out and show them a car and they're hooked, and it stays with them for the rest of their lives. But, shame on us if we don't at least show it to them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Agreed. Now, do you have anything like, past the high school level? Because, some kids, they're trying to find their way. They're out of high school. College really isn't for them. Is there anything available for, for kids in their late teens, early 20s that, again, they graduated high school, but they're not going to college?
Yes, absolutely. Sema has a scholarship fund that is growing every year, and it is used for trade schools as well as college for kids who are pursuing a career in the industry, and that kid can be whatever age. Have you guys ever heard of the Alex Exidius School of the Automotive Arts?
No, where is that?
That's down at the Fairplex in Pomona. So everybody knows Alex Exidius is the founder of SoCal Speed Shops, and actually one of the first employees of Hot Rod Magazine back in the 40s.
Wow.
And there is a school, it's a charter school at the Fairplex that takes students from about 5 different districts where they can earn high school and trade school junior college credit, teaching them everything from how to bend metal on an English wheel to engine building. So I'd encourage people to look at that, and we're trying to germinate that program to other parts of the country as well. So absolutely, Sema is all about helping people in the trades.
It's a big subject, but working in education, I have a little insight that, Lou has seen it too. Now that he's at a college. And I saw it not from my job in education, but through my kids going through school. And when they were in high school, I saw the way they were like corralled, where they wanted them to go. And they didn't want the kids going to 2-year schools. They didn't want them going to vocational schools. They wanted 4-year colleges, because it comes back to the high school. Like I said, it's a big topic. I'm not looking to make a big thing out of it, but it starts at that lower level, and they don't promote what they are not in the market to promote. And there's a vast amount of programs like BOCES, Tori, that don't get any more due than they should. And I'd like to see that change somehow. I don't know how, but it's almost like they have blinders on.
Well, the high schools need to promote it and tell the kids and the parents what's available to them. A lot of the high schools in the area, they really are pushing the academic, path moving forward. And God forbid if they, say, hey, there's another way. There's BOCES.
Right. Well, the kids will go to BOCES through high school, so they do have that. They don't push it past that. But like I said, my own, I was sitting there a couple times with the guidance counselors, and they didn't know who was across the desk, and I purposely kept my guns in my holsters, and I kept quiet, and I just let them talk. I said, let me just see how much rope they're going to take. And finally, when I couldn't take it anymore, I kind of unleashed, and I started speaking facts and figures and names and dates and places. And they were like, who the hell is this guy? They thought I was a plant. I'm like, no, I'm just a parent. You just happen to get the parent who knows what he's talking about. I don't want to know why you're doing, you're going about this. And they were dumbfounded. Basically, the answer was, well, this is kind of what we're told to do, from the principals on down, and the district pretty much dictates it. And if they want to, if they want their jobs, they play ball. If they don't, they can go work somewhere else. So like everything else, like anything political or anything, there's more to it than meets the eye. And they're just looking to get those name brand 4-year schools. They want kids that have, they're looking to get the curb appeal, if you will, so that they can back advertise. But, and it's sad because, like I said, all the high schools around here, the industrial arts programs dried up. They're gone. The only thing we have is BOCES. And even the program we ran through to go to Zeum with BOCES, it was okay, but it was kind of light, because there wasn't a lot of promotion on it.
Ray, our school district here, believe it or not, what they're looking to do, from what I understand, every high school pays a flat fee to BOCES, and you can send as few or as many kids as you want to take advantage of the program, okay? Our superintendent wants to pull funding for BOCES. In other words, just not pay it at all and not send any of the kids. And if the parents want to send their kids to BOCES, have us pay for it out of our own pockets.
Well, that sounds like a cost-cutting measure, yeah.
That's how they want to push that academic, 4-year college agenda, and it's not for everybody.
Well, that's probably a guy looking at a budget item and saying, hey, if we, whatever that flat fee is, if we can take this out and let the parents pay for it, we can use that money somewhere else.
Right.
I saw a couple of my friends' kids went through BOCES. The schools also use it as kind of the clearinghouse instead of like,
send the bad kids.
Yeah, put the dumb kids in the corner. Oh, send them to BOCES. Yeah, my friend's son happened to be learning disabled, and he wasn't good with book learning. He did find a path through BOCES. He found how to do, he found he was very good with electrical work. But it was pretty much, they told him, listen, either you're going to sign up for BOCES or you're going to kick you out of school. Like, well, that's incentive.
Yeah, right.
And he did find a good path. Now he does have himself a good job. But I'm sure for that one kid that I know that made that, there's a lot that don't. And then they're out there unskilled, unfinished in high school, and now, feeding into the other problem we have with unemployment.
Yeah, Joe just finished the welding program at BOCES, so as soon as he's done recovering from his surgery, he had his cyst removed a couple of weeks ago. Right. He's going to try to find a job, doing some welding. So
that's the thing. If a kid wants to do it, the resource is phenomenal. It really is a phenomenal place to get training.
And Joe's good. He could TIG weld.
Yeah,
he figured out the pedal, and even Jeff Thister said, "Wow, that's like a roll of dimes." He laid down a beat. I'm like, "Whoa."
Is he a drummer?
Joe, no, he's not.
Yeah, because normally drummers are great TIG welders.
That's the thing. I'm a drummer, and I'm going to get into some TIG welding, so I'm waiting to see. The thing is, it really doesn't matter. I actually do things like that. I'm right-handed, but I do things like that lefty. Well, not that it'll matter. It's just a matter of, I don't drum lefty, though, but who knows? It's whatever goes on. Crazy stuff that goes on in here.
Exactly. Look at Chassis John. He's been drumming since 72 and TIG welding since 79.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's an art, though. TIG welding is an art. I mean, I saw Jared Zimmerman firsthand, TIG welding, and he is just like unbelievable. And talk about metal fabricated to boot. Oh, my God.
Yeah, he's no joke.
He is so good.
Yeah.
I mean, effortlessly, he just, I watched him work. It's just incredible. And the way he explained, roll the metal one way and another way to get the curve to prevent oil canning. I was in awe. Yeah, that was pretty impressive. So,
yeah, he don't get the credit that he deserves. He's really smart on top of it. He's not just good with his hands.
No, I saw that. Great guy. It was a pleasure meeting him. But I'm getting off topic here now. We got to, steer more toward. So, Doug, what are you doing in Merritt Island? Because my cousin lives down there. Believe it or not.
Really?
On Carambola Drive. Let me see. Over the Banana River, I remember. Yeah, it's been 3 years since I've been down there, but I could kind of get lost and figure it out, I guess, But it's nice down there.
Yeah, we like it. My home is actually here, and I ended up over here because I was doing some work with Bonnier, who produces the Sand Sports Super Show and Off-Road Expo, and I decided to come over to this side of Florida, having spent about 15 years in Tampa. And I knew Bonnier was in Orlando, and I knew I didn't want to live in Orlando, so I looked for the closest water and big water, and it was Merritt Island. So we're here, and it turns out there's a big offshore boat race here. Crowe makes parts for those. So I've just kind of made this home base, and we love it. It's got not a real super island vibe, but a little bit. It's kind of old Florida and water everywhere.
Yeah.
No, I love it down there. I haven't seen my cousins in a few years, but next time I'm down there, I'll look you up though.
And we had water.
Do it.
We had water everywhere too. It was called Hurricane Sandy.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to forget about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still picking up from Hurricane Irma. That one was pretty rough. So we're finally about back to normal, but that one was tough here on Merritt Island. So
yeah, I tell you that this weather's getting crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Tori sent over the picture, you know, for tonight's show, you know, showing that you were the guest. And I'm looking at your picture. I'm like, man, where I know this guy from? I know him from somewhere. And then I went on LinkedIn. I was like, bam, you popped up. We're friends on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah. I think I knew that. That's cool. Yeah, it's well, you know what? It's a great brotherhood of people that are into automotive, and we all manage to find each other. So cool.
Yep. You know, it'd be real cool to meet you in person in Sema. It's really, for me, that's one of the best things is meeting people like from this show or from around the country at Sema. You know, you talk to them on the phone or social media, man. When you meet them in person, it's like you know them forever.
It's true.
Well, let's make it a point. You know, Sema's gonna be interesting for me this year. It's gonna be my first year as a civilian in over 20. I just termed off the board as an immediate past chair, and John Hotchkiss has now taken over my duties as chairman of the Political Action Committee. So I am Sema-less for the first time in 20 years. I'm going to be walking the show with a normal people badge.
Now you'll see the real stuff. Now you'll see the fun.
You know, Doug, let me take you back a little bit, and you can explain something to me and to others who may not know. When you mentioned before about a PAC, what's a super PAC?
I think a super PAC is based on the number of people and the total contributions. And I know enough about this to be dangerous. What I can tell you about a PAC is, to be legal, all the donations have to be made from private individuals and cannot be made corporately. So Sema's PAC is made up of people who kick in money to support politicians that are friendly to our cause. Right. And that money is used to support campaigns on both sides of the aisle where the people are automotive friendly. So it's nonpartisan. But the bar of entry is you got to be a car person or we're not going to support you, or small business and a car person preferably.
I mean, I know when you talk about going to speak with Congress and you're going to talk automotive, you're not typically in an automotive crowd. Now, it just so happens that almost every group that I'm associated with or every hobby I have is looked down on for one reason or another.
Yeah. Me too.
And I know that when you go to speak to a bigger body, you just want to do a car show in town, and they want to know. They don't know what it is the problem. So, what's it like? I can't imagine what it's like monumentally in front of a body like Congress, who has their own agendas, and of course, doesn't want to see it unless they're seeing green. How does that? Can you give us a little crack in the facade of how you make some headway with these people?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I mean, at the end of the day, everything in Washington, you kind of hit on it, revolves around money and votes. And votes come from people who are generally employed and happy. So one of the things that we try to demonstrate in a variety of ways is how many people the industry employs and the cascading impact that it has on multiple communities across the United States. So Sema also does town hall meetings where they'll go into a manufacturer like a Crowe and invite our local congressman out to an open house, and all the neighboring businesses will come in and people from Sema will come in. And we give them a tour and talk to them about the industry. And tell them a little bit more about us. Because again, you're right. A lot of these people don't know us. Now, the flip side of that, my congressman in Merritt Island, and I was friends with him for a long time before I moved here, and was actually pleasantly surprised to find out that I had moved into his district, as a guy by the name of Bill Posey, who started off with us in a state legislature of Florida and ended up going to the federal Congress. Big time car guy, used to own racetracks. He's a stock car racer. So he's helpful, and you'd be surprised at the number of people that are in Congress who do like it. You know, Bill happens to be a Republican, but Sandy Levin in Michigan is a Democrat. And obviously, being from Michigan, you better support the car hobby.
Yeah, and then you think about, like, Ford closing down and plants closing, and you think the juice that they would have, and that still happens. But,
yeah. Although,
Tori, I think of, like, on the island here, we have Lee Zeldin, who was very car.
Oh, yeah.
But we had him on the radio show a few times. We promoted him, and his cause was ours, the drag strip and whatnot. And at the end of the day, nothing happened. And that I don't know the ins and outs, so I'm not a politician, but I would imagine at some point these guys may have to trade. Well, I do know some people who are politicians, so I got a little inside info. And it's like, well, you know what? We'll give you what you want if we get what we want, or like work with us with this for 4 years, and then we'll entertain your thing. So it's always like you're giving and taking, and
Right.
then it comes to the point of, well, how important is it to me, to give away my other projects for this one? And I'm glad I'm not a politician. It's.
Oh, I'm with you, Ray. I'm with you. But
yeah, it's a tough business, right?
Yeah.
A great example of what you're talking about is Fontana Racetrack in California. Sema, along with NASCAR and a variety of people, put together the money to put up a bigger sound barrier on the track to keep the locals happy, so that yet another California racetrack didn't close down. So it does seem to come from all sides, which is why we got to be vigilant about taking care of it.
I mean, here on Long Island, we had 8 tracks. It's the old NIMBY thing,
Yeah.
Housing development moves in and says, "Oh, what's that noise on a
Right.
Sunday?" Well, that's the racetrack that was
You
there
should-
for 40 years.
You shouldn't have moved there, right?
You don't want that. You got to stop that.
Right. It's the same person who's, oh, wow, I live near an airport. There's too much noise. You shouldn't live by an airport or a train station or a drag strip or a school.
But you see what happens. That prevails, and it seems to prevail everywhere.
But the school was there first. The drag strip was there first. The
Doesn't
airport
matter.
was there first. You're right.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
And you know what? Long Island needing a drag strip, right? Think of this, though. Think of all the people. Think of all the tourism dollars. Think of all the restaurants, and think of all the hotels. I mean, people will be coming from afar to spend their money. English Town is out. So not only do you get the Long Island people, the 5 borough people, get some people from upstate New York, you get some people in Jersey, too. It's a no-brainer, Ray. What are they waiting for?
The only problem is you do have to get in and out of Long Island, which, as we know, is
right.
And then you got the LIE. It's so whatever. But I mean, you're right. It's I mean, hey, back in the day, the Top Fuel guys used to love coming here because they're running at sea level. Man, they used to put some numbers down. They love coming out to National Speedway. But it's I don't know. There's so many, this conversation goes so many different ways. It usually ends up with,
no.
Right.
Arguing, yelling, and screaming out at each other, just at the frustration level,
right?
Because it all comes down to public interest or personal interest in money and whatnot, and the guys who the hobbyists lose out. So
that's us.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we can just be as vigilant as we can and encourage people to pay attention and have a voice. I mean, that's because it does make a difference. One of the more recent victories, although we're trying to figure out how to implement it, is we got a small vehicle manufacturing bill actually passed on a national level, so that you can legally do a street rod or a kit car and get it registered in any state, up to 200. So a pro builder can build cars, without an original VIN tag, and not be subject to NHTSA crash standards, which is what the problem is. That's why you could always get a kit car body without the engine, because when you put the engine in, you became the manufacturer and absorbed that liability. But we got Congress to pass that bill, and now we just got to get NHTSA to figure out how to implement it across the country. Right now, there's several states that you can do it in, but nationally, we're waiting for that implementation. So, there are wins. They're far and few between, but we do have some wins.
I could tell you, I have a friend that just recently moved from here down to Tennessee, and he's been buying and selling some older cars, 50s cars and a couple of rat rods and 20s cars. He's getting these things with no titles or the VIN. He's like, this obviously isn't a 51 Dodge VIN. They made it, and they go through. These things get registered. They get insured. It's like the DMV down there is like a post office. It's like a little post office. I mean, he sends me the stuff daily. He says, "Yeah, no problem. It just goes through." I'm like, geez,
it's like that here in Ohio too. We don't have inspection or anything.
Wow, Tori.
I wish I knew that, because I had a 64 Malibu 300 Deluxe. No, I'm sorry, 64 Chevelle 300 Deluxe. 2-door post, pretty clean. It wasn't stolen. The guy bought it as a parts car. The owner died, so there was no title involved. I tried to get paperwork for this car to save it, and I couldn't do it for the life of me. Apparently, I was going to the wrong state.
Right.
Yeah, Ohio, you could do.
That happens. Well, California, you've got a
and get a title
inspection.
Here in Ohio.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yep.
That car, I'm getting cut up, and I gave the car away to a guy in Jersey. He decided, I'm not going to build it. He cut it up and he scrapped it.
Wow.
Too bad.
I would take the taillight pockets out. I would take the cowl, the dash. I mean, that whole thing was.
Yeah.
Even the rockers and the floors were good. The roof was good. What a shame.
Yeah.
What a shame,
Talk about a car that should be saved. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So Chassis John says Florida's great for registering hot rods and street strip cars.
Okay.
And Brian Matko, man, he has a question. Do you have any way of checking for counterfeit parts? Let's say if I return something to Crowe.
Oh, excellent question.
That was a very good question. Yes.
What was the question?
Is there any way? So if I send something back to you for like warranty or replacement, is there any way to check for to make sure that it's a genuine Crowe part, not a counterfeit?
Well, the question is, do you suffer from counterfeit parts in your industry? I know MSD is one of the biggest knocked off thing in the world.
You're right.
Crowe should be etched in the part. It'll depend on what it is. I mean, he's welcome to send me an email, and I will point him in the right direction to make sure. I need to know who he bought it from, what part it is, what the issue is. But he can email me the details, and I'll get him connected with our tech department, and we'll figure it out.
Again, this came up a few years ago because I think it was either Hot Rod or Carcraft that ran a big article on counterfeit parts. Yeah. And MSD was number one for being knocked.
They were.
Holly was in there. I have the article filed somewhere, but we did a piece on the radio show. And then later on, I actually happened to have a guy on. We have a recurring guest from K&N Air Filters. Mm-hmm. And I was just as conversation, I said to him, I have K&Ns in 3 or 4 of the cars in the house. And one of them, I noticed the filter last time I took it out to clean it and re-oil it, the pleats just didn't look right. And I said, it's only about 4 years old, and I follow instructions. I don't use high pressure or whatever. I said, is that normal? And he said, send me some pictures. And I did. And he wrote back to me, he says, Ray, I hate to tell you. He goes, that's not our filter. I said, well, I'm going to tell you, I bought it in a K&N box from Pep Boys, in fact.
Really?
And I paid $48 for this filter. And he said, no, it's a counterfeit. He said, you know what? He didn't even want me to send it back. Oh no, I think maybe I did. He says, would you mind sending it to me so we could take a look at it? And I said, no, of course not. And he sent me a legitimate K&N filter.
That was awful nice of him.
That was very nice of him. But the big company, they got a lot to lose in reputation, because if that filter failed, which is what it was on the road to doing, and got ingested in an engine, now you're going to have people bad mouthing them because it did something that the real filter doesn't do. So, it's, I don't know if that's still prevalent like it was.
What's more concerning to me is that Pep Boys is a large, legitimate, retailer. Where'd they get it from that's counterfeit?
Right. I mean, it could have been 100 different things. Somebody could have bought the real K&N, slipped that in the box, brought it back for a refund, and got the filter under. The auto parts store by my house. It's a small place. It's in a mom and pop store. I went in there one day and I bought brakes and stuff for a car I was working on. And I got home and I opened up the box and there were used brake pads in there, worn. I said, "What the heck?" I went back. I put them on the counter. The guy says, "Whoa, wow, you done already?" I'm like, "No, I didn't do it." I said, "Look what's in here." He goes, "What'd you put the used pads in there for? There's no return." I'm like, "No, this is what you gave me." Somebody had bought brakes, went home, put the old ones in, and brought them back and returned them, and no one ever opened the box to see what was in the box. They got back into stock, and so I mean, a lot of things can happen. It doesn't have to be the store itself at fault, but it was
the industry is actually trying to, and again, Sema is big on cracking down on this as they can. A lot of people don't realize that during the Sema show, there is a judge, there are FBI agents on grounds, and if there's a company there that is obviously selling parts that are a ripoff of another manufacturer, they are ejected from the premises. I've only seen that once, but it happened a couple of years ago. But it is a problem. I talk to other manufacturers that, they get come across these knockoffs, and it's right down to the tool marks on the part.
Wow.
It's so thoroughly copied. So we got to be vigilant about that too.
Yeah, the MSD stuff is so heavily copied, and it's done overseas. It's done in China and Singapore, where they can do the electronics, but they actually got, they got the external stuff to look right. And in the article, they showed you the little nuances. As a casual user or buyer, you're not going to notice that. You'd have to have like a magnifying glass out, but there were some discrepancies, but they were very, very small.
That's true.
Thieves are pretty smart. They'll figure out a way to be stay ahead of the curve.
Well, they don't have anything else to do but be a criminal, so they got time to research.
Right.
Plenty of time. Yep. You ain't kidding.
Right.
If they took that effort for something good rather than doing something to rip someone else off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Think about that for a second. But
exactly.
I don't know. But hopefully, you if you see something at a show, you try to buy something secondhand, from someone else. Hopefully, you handle it enough where if you see the one for sale and you look at it, you can say, "You know what? Something doesn't look right. I don't know what it is, but if it doesn't look right, to pass on it." Yeah. But the problem is the next person may not be that savvy to say, "Hey, you know what? There's something wrong. I don't feel right. I'm going to pass," because if something looks fishy, then you just pass on it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But everyone's like that.
The price really jumps on you, and you think, "Oh man, it's a great price. I got to buy it," and that's what happens. You let the dollar control your mind.
That's true too.
Yep.
But you know what though, when you trust a name like Crowe or MSD or Hooker, any of the Holly, any of the big companies, when you spend good money, you want to make sure that you get, the best way to get around that is just deal with, I don't know, Doug, do you sell directly to the public?
Yep.
That's the way to go. Then you just deal directly with the manufacturer if you can.
Mm. Well, yeah, but sometimes I know back years ago I was buying parts for my Pontiac back in the 90s, and I bought stainless steel brake lines, and I wanted to buy Russell braided brake hoses. And I went through Stainless Steel Brake at the time, and they gave me prices, and I said, "Hold on a minute, let me get back." The price just seemed, a little off, a little high. I went and I looked at Summit or Jegs or whatever, and I found I could get those brake hoses cheaper. Let me put this. This is like 20 years ago. This happened. I called Russell. I called him direct. That's what it was. And I asked them about it. I said, well, what about just buy them right from you? And they gave me a higher price. And I said, why is that? They said, we want you to deal with our distributors. So we give them a better price matrix. And I ended up going back to Stainless Steel Brake and indeed buying them from them. But, learn something about that, how they, sometimes it doesn't pay to go to the manufacturer. You want to go to the distributor because they set them up with a better deal that'll pass on to the consumers. So.
I never thought of that.
Mm.
Unless you ask them nicely, and maybe they'll,
right. Yeah. I figured go right to the source, right? Go right to the source. But no, they said, no, go to one of our distributors. We have a whole, list of them. Like, yeah, everybody sells your stuff. And, But, so, I don't know.
Well, fellas, I have to jump off because I have an early start in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
Doug, I really appreciate you coming on the show. And
Hey,
we learn something every time we have a guest on, and we appreciate you coming.
well, thanks for the opportunity. Looks
And
like
Doug, thank you so much for coming on. We'll have to reschedule you again because Lou couldn't make it on because of his travels. So now we get all the bugs worked out. We know we get into the chat room with no problem. Lou will be here the next time. This is just a warm up. This is just a dry run. So
what are we, 3 or 4 back now with warm ups?
Oh, I'm getting backed up. That's okay though.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll be double booking soon.
Hey, it was great fun. I enjoyed it, and I'm delighted anytime. I thank you for the opportunity, guys.
Thank you, Doug, for coming on. We had a great time. Thank you so much.
Very
All
informative.
right, have a great night.
Good night. Take care.
All right.
Hey,
Good night, everybody.
everybody on Facebook and YouTube. Remember that you can go back to YouTube and watch all of the shows, the replays, and please subscribe and hit the little bell so you can get notified when we have any events or any live stuff going on.
Yeehaw.
All right. I
Got it.
appreciate you guys, and I will see you next week. And if you need me, hit me up before then.
Sure will.
All right, fellas.
All right.
Good night, Ray. Good night, Lewis. Take
Bye,
care.
boys. So long.
See you later.
All right.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.